Yo, what is up, guys? Del Boy here. So, Billy Joe Saunders defeats Marcelo Esteban Coceres to retain his WBO super middleweight title. I've got to say, this was a much more competitive fight than I anticipated, and Billy Joe Saunders had many problems in this bout. Going into the 11th round, where Billy Joe stopped Casares, this fight was extremely close as far as I'm concerned. Maybe an even fight, maybe Casares slightly ahead, but it was very competitive, and Billy Joe really didn't impress in this fight. I think this fight was seen as kind of a introduction to the US fans for Billy Joe Saunders. He was supposed to put on a really good show, and he failed to deliver. Obviously he got the win, which is the main thing, but he didn't really further his case to get a big fight with the likes of Canelo Alvarez, Gennady Golovkin, or somebody along those lines. You know, Billy Joe Saunders looked flat early on, not moving with his usual fluidity, not punching with the same type of hand speed we are used to seeing, not putting his shots together, and he just looked uninspired, to be honest with you. And Casares wasn't exactly doing anything special, but he was keeping a consistent work rate. He was landing some nice shots on the inside, especially body shots, and even his right hand. He had a nice short chopping right hand that was landing quite regularly on Billy Joe Saunders. And yeah, Casares was just keeping a good consistent work rate, to be honest with you. And Billy Joe Saunders really wasn't picking his shots with the same type of accuracy we are used to seeing. He just looked extremely disjointed, to be honest with you. And yeah, that made for a really, really close competitive fight. And the fight itself was actually a lot better than I expected as well, to be honest. And I actually enjoyed it, watching it back this morning. And yeah, after 10 rounds, I felt this fight was extremely close, to be honest with you. Even, or Casares slightly ahead. But in round 11, credit to Billy Joe Saunders, it wasn't a world-class performance, but the finish was certainly world-class. He dropped Casares 3 times in the 11th round. The first knockdown was a combination where he kind of created an angle for himself, and I believe he landed a right hand to the side of Casares' head. That dropped Casares. Casares beats the count, but he is hurt. You know, his legs are unsteady. Billy Joe then gets right back on him, applying pressure, throwing punches, and he lands a lovely right uppercut on Casares that dropped him quite heavily. Once again, Casares quite badly hurt, but once again he beats the count to his credit. He tries to fight on, but Billy Joe Saunders follows up once again and, you know, throws punches in bunches. Once again, Casares is dropped to the floor. This time he kind of like dropped to his knees, and the referee at this point waved the fight off. And I think it was the correct stoppage, if I'm being honest. Casares was quite badly hurt. His legs weren't really underneath him, and he was taking a few big shots here and there, so no real problem with the stoppage. And how Billy Joe Saunders closed the show was quite impressive. It was a good finish. He displayed some nice punch variety when he was opening up, and yeah, he got the stoppage win, so credit to Billy Joe Saunders for knocking out his opponent in a fight where potentially he may have been losing, to be honest. So yeah, Billy Joe Saunders closed the show out in good fashion, but his whole performance wasn't really impressive, I've got to say. Billy Joe Saunders made a few excuses for why that was. First of which being he had his visa late and he arrived in the US less than a week before the fight. And the other being he had a flu or cold going into this fight. So he's got a couple of excuses. Maybe they are legitimate. I'm sure the visa one is, to be honest, but maybe he did have a cold. But regardless, it really wasn't a good performance, you know. And one more reason I'm going to throw out there for this performance is for weight. I still don't believe Billy Joe Saunders is a super middleweight. I think he's too small, and I think he's carrying a bit too much weight at 168 pounds. You know, not just this fight. Go back and watch his fight with Shifa Isafi, where he won the vacant title. I didn't think Billy Joe looked that great in that fight. He basically had it all his own way, but his movement wasn't the same, his fluidity wasn't the same, his hand speed wasn't the same, and I think that is down to the increased weight. And, you know, this performance was similar. Again, not the fluid Billy Joe we're used to seeing. Not that hand speed, not those combinations, not those quick reflexes. He looks like a slowed down version of himself, certainly in the last couple of fights. So I'd really consider getting back down to 160 pounds at middleweight if I was Billy Joe Saunders. I don't think the guy's a 168 pounder, I really don't. But, you know, looks like he's sticking around at 168. There are some big fights for him, but, you know, based on that performance and the previous performance, would I pick him to beat any super middleweight right now? No. I wouldn't pick him to beat Callum Smith, David Benavidez, or even Caleb Plant. I would make those guys favourites. Not saying Billy Joe doesn't have a chance, because he is a really good boxer on his day, but by recent form, the guy needs to improve to unify at 168 pounds. And yeah, that's how I see it. Share your thoughts below. What did you make of this fight? Who did you have winning? And yeah, just share your comments below. Peace.